All right, Shalom Yasharal, peace Israel. Let's give all honor, praise, and glory to our power, Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh, Shai, Hashem, Rakak, Badash, Done. Double honors and mighty Shalom to the teachers and preachers of great Moscow, who will teach well. Salutations to you, fellow Akim, scattered abroad of the house of the faith, tabernacle of David reborn in this time. Allah, Yahweh, Yahweh, Shai. May you get everything about in the spirit. You need to stand worthy before him who is due to arrive, our Lord. So, Yahweh, Shai, Hamashiach, the Son of the Father, power, Yahweh. We openly declare and magnify that holy name, hopefully baptizing you with that name, immersing you with that name, overwhelming you with that name, and magnifying that name, as it says that we would do so, remembering ourselves. Because we, hopeful like to the nation of Israel, are hoping that remembering on our Lord equates to getting in alignment and ultimately salvation, right? So, real simple. This place is full of fucking wicked motherfuckers. They're all reeling. No one's really holding them account. And even if this turd Trump goes to fucking jail, the reality is a sleepy, creepy, ice cream child sniffing Biden. Ridiculous. And what are we fucking underneath Kamala? Oh, God. Hey, the reality is this place is Babylon, right? It's full of mixing and confusion, right? That's the definition of it. The one, Babylon the Great, that mystery Babylon, it's America. It's full of wickedness, stuff against the will of the Creator, full of abominations. Those abominations are fornications, idolatry, lies, deceit, murder, theft, all sorts of crappy stuff that America used to set itself up, right? And the leaders did that. And the people here, they're ultimately the descendants of the wicked people who set this place up. The hegemony of investment of the Edomite rulership, which the Most High's Son, the Lord Yahweh Shai, is going to come back and fucking crash their party. I can't wait. I hope I get to see it. I hope I get to live long enough to see the Lord coming in the sky and smashing this place. I want to see America, Babylon the Great, who's oppressed the world, and us, take L's all the way to the dust while we chant her down with that Shalak riot. Because this place, it needs to go. The world, everything's waxing awful, y'all. The most times we're about to crank it up even worse. That's what's, I can't believe it's going to get that much worse. It's going to get really worse, though. And terrible times, the world doesn't, all the stuff that happened in ancient Egypt. That kind of stuff's going to start happening. Rampant disease, death, and just shit that people are going to call it what it is. Right? Terrible sights. Looking at the lack of things coming, right? So, I would get yourself prepared if you can. It would be okay to have some extra food. It would be okay to have, extra medicine. It'd be okay to have something ready so that you could slide out, because we know that we might end up being pilgrims upon the earth. We might not be able to inhabit our goods because things get so bad. And I would be leading you astray if I didn't tell you that we totally could end up being pilgrims on the earth, because us in this faith, they're going to come down and start looking for people that are us, right? So, these terrible times, this place, Babylon the Great, still functioning in some capacity, if you can call it that, even though it's circling the drain. They're going to have another so-called election. We know that it's not even a real election. It's confusion, guys. Right? Is the word Babylon. Literally or figuratively as a type of tyranny. And this place is totally a type of tyranny. It oppresses the world with its fucking finances, dollar, its ideologies. In order to deal with Babylon the Great, you have to fucking pick up its fucking ways, which is, the wine of Babylon, its ideals, its ideologies, its ways. If you believe in Babylon, you have to let homos everywhere, right? And uplift trannies and stuff. Because that's Babylon. You gotta like our things too. It's a fucking form of oppression. What the fuck is that? To deal with the country, you gotta fucking let them have their politics in your fucking country and promote their ideologies and shit. Man, the world's fucking tired of that shit. Which is why these other nations are gonna rise up so quickly to kick Babylon at its ass. As it says in Habakkuk 2, should they not all rise up suddenly? And they're going to consult together. This place is ever possessed the riches and the friggin' resources of the earth. They're in Syria, they're in other countries with their standard oil. They're American companies leeching off the world, right? Babylon the Great, which would keep to itself all people and would be as death. And it promotes death. It fucking, everything that's against the will of the Most High is death, guys, bottom line. And it promotes a death culture unlike any other. A consuming one. Full of confusion, lies, deception, and murder. Which is how this place is set up, right? Basically, this picture in the nutshell shows it. The white man and his ideology, his female spirit, his Columbia, which is, it's District of Columbia rules this place, right? So is that, I'm saying the right thing, it's the Columbia spirit that this place is going on here. The same thing that the fucking, this one is, right? But it's that this spirit, right? Because it's holding the torch, right? It's the same damn thing. It's this Columbia, this conquering feminine spirit that has ever plundered the earth. I mean, look at what happened. These are the Israelites, the natives, running to the left, and the buffalo, and all the rich things of the land were on the left, untouched, and on the right, overdeveloped, infrastructured, wasted, and the land and its Sabbath has not been kept in any respect, which is why this place waxed so awful. It's this scum, this parasite on the land, these Edomites, that brought their wicked ideologies, their overdeveloped land structures. Nasty. It's a consuming feminine spirit that has to consume all cultures and turn it into its things. It can't assimilate with the culture, otherwise it would have figured out how to function like the natives did, our forefathers. But no, they have to demon terraform everything with their fucking wires, their technology, and have their faces on everything, and their monuments on every goddamn thing, and their fucking faces in the rock and on the money. It's ridiculous, y'all. And then the worst part is these are the people that put themselves up as the children of the Most High. But they're uplifting feminine deities and all sorts of weird-ass shit. They've characterized this place after captivities that had us Israelites under it before, like the fucking Greeks and the Romans and the goddamn Egyptians. And they were thinking if they could combine all that witchcraft and all their pagan deities, which it is that, they are pagan, the original, actual idolaters, right? The generations of Edom, right? From the wicked on down. They abode not the truth, right? They were murdered like their forefathers, which is how this place got set up. The natives are running to the left in fear, being plundered, and manifest destiny, which is the theft of land and murder and infiltration and invasion. And then ultimately the far right, we can see overdeveloped structures where their infrastructures where they get to feed their wickedness into culmination and growth and development that makes it to where we have today, that concrete metal jungle full of toxic waste products that people build with, right? Nasty. None of it's serene. It's all representations of ancient Rome and I mean, all these buildings, these dome buildings, like the Capitol. It is the District of Columbia that rules this place. We know that. But this place leverages wickedness at every level. And it's actually nasty. It's like wicked confusion, because this is not the only thing it pushes. It pushes fake religion of all kinds, let everybody come here and do whatever they fucking want, right? Meanwhile, they've got their laws set up so that the nation of Israel could not serve their power correctly, but they can have all their fucking pagan refund, and no one can stop them. Right? Well, we're going to crash that fucking party, y'all. And it's not far off. Alright. We know, as the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. And what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell there, and sleepy privy Joe Biden. Right? Honor knees Kamala, right? Give it to me, Willie Kamala. Gall darn, theft and impropriety Trump. The generations of the fucking wicked, he's the peak of. A reliving of Nero himself. Causing all sorts of fucking division on purpose. Because it is his mystique, right? They're all wicked. They're all thieves. And they're all the generation of the wicked, y'all. They're ultimately Trump goes back to Edom, and so does Biden. And it wouldn't surprise me if Kamala went back to Edom through her father's line. Dude, that would be like perfect. Ridiculous. And we know they're all fucking liars. Politics is full of lying, theft, impropriety, bait and switch. It's how they get into power. An unwise king destroyed his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be in heaven. The power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time he will set over it one that is profitable, and ultimately the only one that is profitable is our Lord Yahushua. Hey, these wicked people are almost out of power, y'all. This has to be the last so-called thing, because remember Trump was talking about it, fucking, oh, we're going to fix the elections, you're never going to have to vote again or whatever. I don't know what the fuck it was, but he said something stupid and bold like that. Anyways, I'm just going to roll this fucking video. I mean, he's literally, I guess they're going to put him in jail, and he's still going to get, I don't know how that's all going to work out.
President Trump's legal team is trying to delay his sentencing for the hush money trial from New York, but in New York, authorities are already preparing for a
One who giveth and taketh a bribe, we know that's fucking wicked. God damn.
Possible Trump imprisonment, as in he would go to jail in the coming days in the heat of the election. Sentencing is supposed to happen on September.
Let's talk about this. It was like there was fair enough evidence for this. The money was given for certain duty, right? To quell somebody's First Amendment, right?
18th, but Trump's legal team is asking for a delay from the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals when a U.S. district judge already rejected this on Tuesday. So we invited legal analyst Lionel from the Lionel Nation YouTube channel. He's a former prosecutor who can help us break this down.
Hey, I'll leave the link in the description box. Just wanted to hit a quick hit in the spirit, y'all. Until next lesson, Shalom.
Shalom. First and foremost, like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, Rakal Kadash. Double honors, the elders and apostles, a great millstone who are teaching this truth in sincerity. And a shout out to Yahakim out there on the four corners of the earth to claim this truth. Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, Rakal Kadash, Barakatam. So, hey, not only the elections cankered, nobody trusts in them, everybody knows it's all bullshit. Hey, Esau knows the citizens of Babylon don't trust him. And that's why they keep on coming up with, oh, Russia's interfering with the elections and all that. Russia doesn't care about the bullshit elections. They don't need to. They got something ready for fucking Babylon very soon.
Department of Justice is not really in the business of listening to the people, to its own people. They're in the business of creating their own narrative and their own agenda and secretly trying to push that forward. Believe it or not,
that's why we don't watch the real news.
American people are starting to see that they're being lied to and manipulated constantly. They have a president that can't complete a sentence. He can't walk without falling down. Times in life and times in the United States haven't been worse in 60 years. So these are all indicative of a failing system, and I think the people of America are not all stupid. They see what's happening. This is the, disinformation, misinformation, propaganda theater. It's a playing field where they know that they are being exposed, and the only thing that they can do back is, outside of performing an actual coup on a country or deposing a leader, the thing that they can do is over and over again try to create disinformation, misinformation, and propaganda. And as I've said before, I've seen two different directors of the CIA talk about how they spend so much of their time and money on disinformation. This is a very, very big deal that they're doing, not just inside America, where they're, by the way, not supposed to be working, but all over the world.
So there you have it, though. And people can see, there's distrust in everything. I mean, look at what's happening in the UK and in France. People know that it's all bullshit. So, Putin avoids cursed trap as his troops poised to take Pokrovsk. President Putin continued to downplay Ukraine's major Kursk invasion, which resulted in Russian territory occupied by Kiev forces. It has instead maintained that capturing and holding all the Donbas, eastern Ukraine, remains a goal. We have to deal with these things who made it into Russia, he said at an event visiting Russia's east on Thursday. He's yet to launch a broader general mobilization despite the assault on Kursk and the border region. He presented the Kursk operation as essentially a trap which he will not fall into. The aim of the enemy was to force us to worry, hustle, divert troops, and to stop our offensive in key areas, especially in the Donbas, the liberation of which our main primary objective. So, in other words, they're not falling for this trap. Billions in U.S. aid to Ukraine due to expire, which is why we believe that they possibly will set off a dirty bomb to blame Russia in a false flag attack. Washington reportedly has been too slow to spend the approved funds due to concerns its own weapon stocks were running low. Yeah, they just told the world that they're out of ammo. I mean, Trump just spouted that recently. Biden has spouted it numerous times. Kiev could lose nearly $6 million in previously approved U.S. military aid unless Washington finds a way to withdraw or otherwise secure the money before the end of September. Reuters reported on Thursday, citing sources. So, like everything else, though, just got a few more weeks left of this month, right? We're at the beginning of a new month. Russian fighter jet targets Ukraine forces in Kursk region. The Russian Defense Ministry announced that an Su-34 fighter jet belonging to the aerospaces launched raids on personnel and military equipment of Ukraine forces in the border area of Kursk Oblast. The Russian aerospace forces multi-role supersonic fighter Su-34 targeted with precision-guided bombs a gathering of personal and military equipment of the Ukraine forces in the border area of Kursk region. Sputnik quoted the ministry as saying as a statement on Friday. So, like everything else, though, we already know that, this is desperation accusing the West of meddling in the election, but that's what they're doing, right?
All right, let's cross now to Larry Johnson, a former CIA analyst. Larry, good to have you on the program with us. Another wave of accusations against RT coming from Washington. What's your take on this whole election interference claims?
Do you remember the old Saturday Night Live skit with Christopher Walken, where they were doing a Blue Oyster Cult, and Walken kept coming out saying, "More cowbell, more cowbell."
Yep.
This is more cowbell. Okay, so let's start with the facts. Fact number one: the country in the world that has engaged with more meddling and political interference in the affairs of other countries is the United States. Number one. During the reign of Dwight David Eisenhower, president in the 1950s, he was responsible for over 148 covert actions, or 178 in 38 different countries, which included the overthrow of the governments of Iran and the governments of Guatemala. Then let's jump ahead to 2016. It actually started in December of 2015, where Brent Budowski, a Democrat operative, was emailing with John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, about how they were going to fabricate this relationship between Trump and Putin as an attack tool. They not only used, it was Hillary Clinton's campaign that led it, but they had the full cooperation of the CIA, full cooperation of the FBI, full cooperation of much of the media. It was an entirely fabricated, and yet it was done not by Russia, it was done by Americans, by Hillary Clinton and her gang. So right off the bat, what you have going on here today is Merrick Garland's picking up where Hillary Clinton left off. The concept that RT, who is not allowed to broadcast in the United States, at least you can't get it on your cable news. I do have it on my Apple TV because I had it from 6-7 years ago, but they've taken it off now. You can't get the app on Apple TV. You do have to try to watch it online, maybe with a VPN. But how is it that RT, who has barely got a presence in the United States, and has one of the smallest, social media platforms as far as Americans going to it, is somehow this powerful entity that's able to direct and interfere in the presidential election? The only interference that's going on right now is the Biden administration is allowing millions of illegal immigrants to come to this country to register to vote so that you will have foreigners voting in what should be an American election. So this is an outrage, what is being visited upon Russian entities. This is one more example of the decline of the West. It's a descent into what I call Stalinist tactics. This is reminiscent of Joe Stalin during the bad old days of the Soviet Union. Except it's not the Russians doing it, it's the French, it's the Brits, it's the Americans. And it's now also the Brazilians cracking down. They're trying to crush any opposition voices, and it's a danger.
Larry, what do you make of the timing of all of this? The American presidential election is just about 2 months away now. Do you think that this is all just deflection from the real issues?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Listen, Kamala Harris has already fallen into polls. The gaslighting that went on, presenting her as, the second coming of the Virgin Mary, that's now fallen to the side. And what's really shocking about this is, look, I've had media experience going back 30 years, going back to 1994. My first gig was I was invited onto CNN to talk about the capture of Carlos the Jackal in Sudan. And I did a pretty good job. I gave good soundbite. And I ended up doing every single major media outlet in the United States, both cable news and broadcast news, ABC, CBS, NBC, all of them. I was on ABC Nightline, CNN Crossfire, I did BBC, I did Canadian Broadcast, CBC. What I discovered was most of those stations, almost always, would do a pre-interview. They wanted to find out what I had to say beforehand. And then Depending on the answers I gave, they'd make us say, oh, we decided to go a different direction. Oh, we decided not to have you. Because they didn't like to hear what I had to say. There's only been 2 television stations that I've been on that never did a pre-interview. One is RT. RT has now, and I've been making RT appearances maybe for 7, 8 years. It started in 2016. At no time did you guys ever do a pre-interview to try to say, hey, what are you going to say? And at the same time, I've never been paid by you. The other one is Press TV in Iran. So think of the irony of this. It's the Russian, it's RT, and it's the Iranians who don't ask these questions in advance to try to figure out what kind of propaganda they want to put out.
You know, it's interesting, Larry, to your point about RT being not available to people in America, and yet here we are, supposedly this big influencer on the U.S. election. I was just back in America last month, coincidentally around the time that the Democratic National Convention was going on, and watching all the media coverage just absolutely fawning over Kamala Harris. I mean, if RT is election interference, isn't that election interference too? But no one's claiming that MSNBC and CNN's coverage is influential at all.
Well, let's deal with some other facts. Fact number 1, the United States for the 2024 has budgeted almost $4 billion to influence elections in other countries. And you go, how can that be? So National Endowment for Democracy, they've got $315 million allocated. There's an allocation called Counter Russian Influence, that's $300 million. Then you have it's called Democracy Programs, that's $2.9 billion. So you add all of that up, that comes to $3.5 billion. But then we're not even talking about the billions of dollars, or at least hundreds of millions, I don't have a precise figure, that the Central Intelligence Agency is giving to conduct covert action information operations overseas, as well as the Department of Defense. And then on top of that, you go to airports, you'll find CNN International, you'll find MSNBC, you'll find Fox News broadcast overseas. If the simple act of broadcasting news is, quote, considered foreign interference, then again, the United States is the most guilty party of all.
You know, U.S. officials claim they've shut down a number of websites allegedly linked to Russia. I'm not familiar with any of the specific websites that they claim to be misinformation, but I just remember over the years when we hear Russian misinformation, oftentimes the stories, Hunter Biden's laptop, for example, end up being true. Why can't the American people just decide for themselves? Why do they have to have this nanny state government tell them what information they have access to?
Well, it's 1984, George Orwell. In the world of Big Brother, you can't let people have independent thought. You know, the Hunter Biden laptop case is an excellent example. I mean, I'm personal friends with the laptop repairman, and John Paul McIsaac, and I helped him from the very early on, once he was sort of cut loose and abandoned and was facing media attacks. And when those 51 former CIA officers came out after him, and to raise questions suggesting he was somehow a Russian agent, I mean, it's just shameful, because I know some of them, and they were liars, and to abjectly lie like that when you know that what the truth is, it's disgrace. And so this effort to demonize Russia is simply to distract from the disaster that's unfolding here in America. Americans' major cities are not safe. Our borders are not secure. Our crime rate is going up, despite the statistics sometimes they suggest it's going lower, and that's just because major cities stopped reporting the facts. So it's all, as long as we can have a convenient enemy outside, and that in this case it's Russia, it's RT, it's the Russian media across the board, I think it's just disgraceful. It's unfair, but this is reminiscent of the Red Scares of the late 1940s, early 1950s. We can't accept responsibility for our own problems. We've got to blame someone else.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Former CIA analyst Larry Johnson. Larry, thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.
It's so like everything else, though. You can see that, indeed, there is no trust, right? Because these people
well, the Biden administration Surgeon
for
General
so
is
long,
warning
right?
that parenting is a health hazard. If this isn't a liberal tenet, I don't know what is. Democrats will tell you that everything is a structural oppressor.
It just goes on, right? But like everything else, though, we see that also what's going on in the Israeli state, right? The least of the flock. Hezbollah hits Israeli military bases with drones, rockets, and retaliation. Hezbollah says it carried out strikes on multiple Israeli sites in response to the brutal aggression on Gaza and in retaliation for assaults on southern Lebanese regions. Hezbollah said in a brief statement that its members launched a squadron of kamikaze drones and multiple BM-21 Grad rockets at the remote Natfala barracks on Thursday evening, hitting the designated targets precisely. So can see some of that there. Israeli state to continue Jenin operation until objectives achieved, as extent of atrocities revealed. The Israeli military says its military operation in the occupied West Bank city of Jenin, which began 10 days ago, is still ongoing after some reports said the regime's forces were withdrawing. So they're not withdrawing, it's just escalated, so you can see some of the footage here. Yep, they're doing a good job at mowing these people down, right? You know, no mercy's going to be shown, nor would it ever be, right? So like everything else though, here's a Richie from Boston video. Going into the 2025, you know, what that's going to be like.
Hey, what's up guys? It's Richie from Boston. I'm sweating my butt off because it is like 80-something% humidity right now, and it's hot. And all I got is that fan going over there because I refuse to run the air conditioning. I just refuse to.
Well, that's for rich people anyways.
I haven't made a video in a little while because I'm working on a massive video for Jailbreak that I hope can actually bring some common sense to regular people. I've done it in the past. Some got a good turnout, some didn't, but I'm risking the channel because it doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't. And I believe this is what the video entails, stuff like this right here. You know, riots everywhere being censored, homeless Americans, including children, are being ignored while migrants are getting all sorts of money. I'm basically explaining to people as succinctly as I possibly can that this isn't a mistake, it's not politics, it's bad politicians, it's liberals, it's right-wingers. This is the New World Order happening right now. And I'm trying to explain it as professionally as I know how. How about this? How about this? I'll let you hear a little bit of it. What do you think of them apples? Before I start this video, I'm going to explain something just really quickly. As an American, as a white, straight, God-fearing man who is also a veteran and comes from a long line of veterans, this video is not my genre, but this video, anybody with a platform that lives in America should be making a video just like this, because if this plan continues to get played out as it is being played out right now, there won't be anything left. Videos won't make any difference, your clout won't make any difference, monetization won't make any difference. We're under attack right now, and people are waiting to vote for the next guy to somehow save us, and that's not the case. That's all I got. Enjoy.
All right, quiet on the set.
Camera speed, sound production, take one.
This is a video I wish I really didn't have to make, but I cannot sit here with my eyes closed, my fingers in my ears, and my mouth sealed, pretending all is well. The World Economic Forum in 2020 put out a proclamation, and they accompanied it with a video, which you're watching right now, and it's called The Great Reset. The World Economic Forum has decided that the entire world needs a great reset, where they set everything back to zero, and they have three main goals. And you can look up all their goals on their website, but the goals are ridiculous. It's just basically they want to track and trace you like they did during the pandemic. And they basically want you to own nothing and be happy. Everything would be on a subscription service. Like leasing a car, you'd be leasing your refrigerator. You'd be leasing your place to live. They basically want to take over the entire world, and their video that you're seeing right now shows how they would do that. Now, back in 2020, this was a harbinger of things to come, but now in 2024, the Great Reset is happening all around us. Now, let me explain that to you in case you don't understand it. Now, bear in mind, this is the most important thing that everybody that's watching this video will ever hear and ever experience in their lifetimes. This isn't fair porn. This is just noticing what's obviously happening now. The World Economic Forum came to the forefront basically when the pandemic dropped, and a guy named Klaus Schwab came out and he wrote a book called The Fourth Industrial Revolution, and you can get it on Amazon in an audiobook format, Kindle, or a hardcover, and you should definitely read it, because these people basically want you as serfs. They will be the royalty, just like back in the old days, and everyone else will be the peasants unless they play ball. But their biggest problem is, in their opinion, or in their estimation, there's way too many people on the planet. And they need to get rid of that, and they also want to get rid of borders. You know, borders between countries. How do you conquer all the nations of the world at the same time? Militarily, it's really not possible. But using fear and pandemics and economic crashes and other tactics, we're literally seeing it happening right now. like this, for instance, in the United States.
They're in big trouble here. These are two of the most dangerous gangs on the planet. They are prison spawn gangs. They come out of the milk and the slime of the South American prisons, which are their stronghold. They are on the lowest rung of the evolutionary ladder when it comes to organized crime. That means they're all strictly street crime, which is dangerous. They bring with them just mindless and knuckle-dragging violence. They kill with knives and machetes. MS-13 is well established. They're going to be the more dominant of the two gangs. They've been here for quite a while. And as I say, David, we knocked them down in the late 2000s with just an international effort. But now they're coming back in and they're reestablishing themselves. And that bodes ill for law enforcement across the country. We're going to be living with this crime wave for decades. And I believe that Venezuela is emptying the prisons deliberately and sending these people up here, just like Castro did in the 80s.
Who in God's name needs a weapon with 100 rounds in a chamber?
High-capacity chambers still yet to be explained, but one of the many plausible answers is, how about the guy who lives in the apartment complex that's now overtaken by the gang of Venezuelan migrants you let into this country? You know, the ones patrolling around with the assault weapons that you hate so much.
So what you're seeing right here is actual LOL security footage of armed Venezuelan gang members that are literally going door to door in an apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado, taking over the entire place, forcing people that live there to pay them to continue living there, or assaulting, robbing, and throwing them out. These people are literally under siege, and the police and government are doing nothing about it, and the media is basically trying to pretend it's not even happening. Shocking, but true.
Governor Jared Polis' spokesperson told the New York Post that the concern over that scene is largely just a feature of the imagination of Aurora City Councilwoman Danielle Jurinsky, who's speaking to media about it.
So elected officials are trying to put this out there because it's a serious issue. And the police are aware of it, but the people above them, the shot callers, are saying it's a figment of their imagination. It's not even real.
Aurora police say they are investigating, and the men in this scene are believed to be members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. Whatever happened at this particular scene, it was not friendly. This apparent break-in was right before a shootout happened, leaving one person severely injured. And this is by no means a rare or isolated event. Denver has received the most migrants per capita of any major U.S. city. Over 40,000 of them have arrived since the end of 2022.
Now, this is really strange because the same people that have absolutely flooded our country with undocumented illegal aliens, people that are entering the country illegally, are being picked up, put on buses, and then sent straight out to the largest cities in the United States. And that's been going on for quite a while. And I actually went down to Texas to the Mexican border, and I spoke with the Border Patrol, and I spoke with the National Guard, and they didn't have a problem with each other. The only problem was they couldn't understand why these people weren't being turned away, or why they weren't being allowed to do their job as Border Patrol or National Guard. These migrants, these illegals, mostly men, and that's a fact, were being put on buses, given money, given hotel rooms, and given all the amenities you would expect being a United States citizen.
You can see Babylon is fucking destroyed already
almost
from
all of them,
within.
as soon as they reach the United States or whatever country they're invading, throw their passports away, so there's no way to know who any of them are.
Where are you guys from? What country? Pakistan. India. Turkey. Turkey? Yeah. Turkey. Okay. India. Where are you guys from? Turkey. Where are you guys from? China. Ecuador. Where are you guys from? India. Iran. Iran. Why'd you come?
No freedom.
No freedom?
Yes, in Iran. Iran is a dangerous country.
Oh, that poor guy. Iran is a dangerous country, so he had to come all the way to the United States. The problem with that is there are non-governmental organizations, NGOs, that before these people illegally cross into our country over our border that nobody defends, they're coached. They're told what to say by NGOs, and that's a fact, and I will show you that exact proof very shortly. But you have to understand, notice that these are all men. Every once in a while you see a woman, but apparently it's just all military-age men from all walks of life being funneled into our country. If we didn't want them here, we could stop them. It's just that easy. If any other country had a problem with Americans just non-stop crossing into their borders, coming into their countries, raping, killing, doing all sorts of illegal things, while they have no idea who we are.
It's happening in Iraq and Syria all the time.
Would take up arms. They would stop it. But in America, everybody's just voting on the next guy. Listen, this has been going on for a long time, and it's intensified in the last several years for a reason. For a reason. So real quick, before we move on, let me explain what NGOs or non-governmental organizations are doing. Okay, so how was that for a sneak preview? I haven't added any music yet, which I want to make it as enjoyable for someone to watch. You know, like, oh, this guy's editing sucks, because some people are absolute idiots like that. I want to try to wake up as many people as humanly possible. Chances are Jailbreak's going to get taken down because of it. Migrants. But I don't care. It is what it is. This has to be put out there. And this documentary is going to be about an hour and a half long, so that was only 10 minutes of it. And I've been working my butt off on it. And it is hot, man. It is hot. And here's a funny thing. Remember I showed you my weather station the other day and that odd anomaly was on it? That happy little fella right there? Well, whatever it is, it hasn't gone away. And it's not affecting the weather station's ability to pick up the weather. But this anomaly is right here. So I asked my father what he thought it was, and he said, it's just picking up something in the sky. And he left it at that because, you know, at 77 years old, he don't want to give an F anymore, you know what I mean? He's lived his life, and he shouldn't have to put up with this stuff. And that's what kills me the most is I'm leaving in a day or two. I got to go meet up with all the people that I told I would meet up with, which is several. And I got to spread this message face to face with some people that could actually do something if they were so inclined. But it's astonishing how well they have divided everybody, man. Everybody. It freaks me out. When they couldn't get whites and blacks to fight, because that would have been a good civil war, they just did it with gays and LGBTQs. So immigrants, if you're gay, or if I decide to wear a wig and grow some boobs and say that I'm a woman, I've got more rights than I do right now, which makes no sense. Instead of them going, yeah, Mr. Camito, you've got some serious mental issues, you know what I mean? 56 years old, now you identify as a woman, what's wrong with you? You know, smarten up. It's not what they're doing. So we're living in a really strange place, but it's all intensifying. In this video that I'm making, I cover the World Economic Forum, how on the 19th of August, Charles Schwab thought it was a good idea to throw out 4 major events are going to happen before the November election. That's what I said, before he said it, but then he said it. You know what I mean? So it's just crazy, crazy, crazy. And speaking of weird, wacky things in the sky, check this out. I got this email from a subscriber in South Africa. He said, hey Richie, my daughter took the following video here on a farm close to Bilsteel in Limpopo Province, South Africa. It clearly shows the 2 suns with the corresponding lens flares. She actually mentions there's a third one to the right of the 2 clear ones. She speaks Afrikaans, which is a lot like Dutch. So if you want me to translate, just ask. Take it with an iPhone 14. Crazy times, indeed. Now, in case you don't know, an iPhone 14 can actually take footage of the moon really well. It's creepy, crazy technology, and it can get the sun. So here's what she sent me right here. So peep this out. So that's the moon, I'm guessing. And that's the sun. And then she zooms in on it. She's not speaking. And then what do you know? What do you know? Look at that, huh? Isn't that strange? But there's more. And there it is, still halfway in the clouds. There's no reflection. It doesn't work like that. And her lens flare is showing 2 artifacts. These 2 means the lens is also seeing 2 objects. Boom. So somebody's catching this in Ohio. Somebody's catching this in South Africa. Yeah, something wacky's going on. So where I live, now all of a sudden our weather stations are picking up the directed energy or whatever it is they're shooting through the skies. There it is right there. And people are picking this up all over the world. Seems like farm...
So like everything else, 2025 is going to be an interesting year in itself, and that's what he's really trying to get into.
Whatever. And some people are like, that's just lens flare. No, it's not, actually. It's not. If that was a lens flare, the lenses wouldn't be showing the 2 items. As you can see, right there, right there. See them? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah. This is real. And it's disconcerting. And if you recall, back in the day, I said when they finally pull this, they're going to pull everything at one time. Start taking off on YouTube was the patent for the sun simulator. One other dude found it, sent it to me. I put it out there, and it's been on ever since. So, where they are. We don't, you know what I mean? We don't know where they are. They're literally flying them all over the country. I literally put in this video documentary the senator from Georgia that went to the airport in Georgia and found a secret hidden room guarded by NGO officials and United States Army soldiers, and then they claimed they weren't there at all.
So, like everything else, though, you know, the next year's surprise. It's going to be an interesting year, nonetheless, though, because we can see where this is going, you know. So, this year was deemed the hopeful year all prophecy come to pass, and that's just a few things going on. I know it's a little bit quiet because, again, you know, Iran hasn't made their response, but nonetheless, though, you know, we are getting near the end. Oh, but there is bigger events happening, and I'll probably make it more on point on the next one. You know, just have to head out in just a few, but I'll try to make a point on the next one. But Apostle Tahar recently come across information that Elon Musk might actually be buying YouTube, so I think I'll make a whole video on that. I know I talked about it a little bit at camp, but I really wanted to do a video on that. Maybe soon I'll be able to get to that. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 2. The Most High answered and said, write the vision, make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. You know, and what's that? You know, well, the New World Order and how it's going to commence, and how everybody's going to be forced to take an implantable device in order to be able to buy or sell. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. And we already know who this transgressor is by wine, in that all these countries are going to take up a parable against him. And taunting proverb, dealing verse 6. And say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, and how long, and to him that layeth himself in thick clay. You know, they are all going to rise up against Esau Edom, and, you know, it's going to intensify. So hopefully this has all been edifying. Just a few articles there, and just a few videos to look at, but, you know, things are going to pick up very soon, you know, and, hey, you know, we're prepared for this. So hopefully this has been edifying. For that, I want to say, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kadash, Wa Abal Babal. Brakathum to Yehovah elect. Shalom.